Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so happy that you're here today. I have a special lady here today, Terri Jay, the Cowgirl Shaman. Did I say that right, Miss Terry?
I say shaman, but it doesn't matter.
Okay, Shaman. I want to make sure it's right. Who has been doing readings for 35 years as a medium, intuitive, animal communicator, medical, and veterinary intuitive life coach, and more. Terri communicates with people and pets who have passed, particularly when helping people deal with the loss of a loved one. Along with her work on the other side, Terri also works with people who have communication disorders such as autism and so much more. Wow, Terri, I am so ready to hear all about this. And I know my audience is too. So, when did you realize you had this gift?
Well, I don't call them gifts, Ida. To me, they're abilities, and everybody has them. And it's just we turn them off in childhood. So then it's just a matter of learning to turn them back on. So I really don't think they're gifts. Somebody goes, "Oh, I'm special." I just want to throw up. I really do. Everybody's got these abilities. But I was doing a horseback therapy program back in 1990, and I picked a child up out of his wheelchair and put him on the back of the horse. And he looked at me and he said, "Ouch, I have a cramp in my hip." So I looked at him and I said, "You have a cramp? Well, here, sit this way and it'll take the cramp out." That's pretty normal with a CP child. And he said, "Hey, you can hear me." And I said, "Well, of course I can hear you." It didn't dawn on me. He was nonverbal. So we continued with our little horseback therapy thing, and him and I were yippy yapping the whole time. And he was talking about everything like but the horseback riding, the school play and his little girlfriend and just all kinds of stuff. Well, the gal that's leading the horse while I'm on the sides, sidewalking and spotting. When I got done and I took him off the horse and put him back in his wheelchair and he went back to class, she said, and I missed the sarcasm. She goes, "Boy, he's sure talking great." I said, "Well, he's very bright. Just because he has CP doesn't necessarily mean that he has any cognitive issues." And she said, "Terry, he didn't say a word. He can't remember. If I was a horse, I would have done a buck fart snort, because when they're spooked, they do all three of those things at one time." And I was spooked. And so I went in the classroom and they put a pointer on his head and he had typed out on his computer, "Horse lady can hear me." So I had instant confirmation that I was, in fact, telepathic. So when I went back outside and I told her what happened in the classroom, she just very matter of fact said, "Well, you ought to learn to communicate with the horses because all animals are telepathic." And I thought, okay, I'm going to try to learn to do that. Well, there were no books at the time. This is 35 years ago. Now it's a freaking cottage industry. And I'm in that industry. I have 3 books that I've written about how to do this. But I just started doing, reading horses. And of course, I had a ton of dogs at the time too. And it just came very naturally. And then I had mentors that I worked with that were energy healers. And they taught me no ego, stay out of your own way, no thinking, listen faster, get the information. The information comes very quickly. And so just that little bit of help was really, really helpful to me. And it was so interesting because I think back about it, I was a mess back then. I mean, I was a mess. And so doing this work has made me have to do a lot of introspection and really fixing my own stuff in order to do this. So it's been really fun.
Yes, it sounds like you are really enjoying it. And I like what you talked about, fixing your own stuff, because no matter what we do in our lives, we have to work from the inside out.
Oh gosh, yes. I don't, if with what I went through as a child, I should have ended up a drug addict, alcoholic, hooker. I mean, really, those, because I had lots of bad stuff happen. But the horses are what kept me straight. They really did, because you have to have a schedule, you have to keep them on a schedule, you have to have income to take care of them. So they really saved my life. They really did.
Wow. And I like that saying, Thank God we don't look like what we've been through.
Oh, God. I have never heard that before, but yeah, really, thank goodness. Woo,
Yes.
that would be
So,
ugly, wouldn't it?
so how does one know that they have how do you know you have the intuitive ability?
Everybody does. We're all born with intuition, clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience, and claircognizance. And clair just means clear. So we have clear feeling, clear knowing, clear hearing, clear seeing. We all have all of it. And it's just a matter of getting out of your own way, listening faster, and then just developing an awareness, raising your own vibration, because everything's physics. Everything's physics, energy, frequency, and vibration. I can't do woo-woo stuff. And that's why when people go, oh, you have gifts. No, these are abilities. Because to me, gifts, it connotates woo-woo. And this is not woo-woo stuff at all.
Okay, okay. So, how do we develop that? How do we develop it? Okay, I mean, everybody has it, but not everybody uses or realize
Right.
they have it.
Well, there's not one of us that hasn't thought of somebody we haven't heard from in a long time, and the phone rings and it's them. That always happens. That happens to everybody.
Yes.
And then I love the expression a gut feeling, because
Yes.
people need to trust that stuff, because what we don't know is that right behind the stomach, which is third chakra, there is a nerve bundle that acts like a microwave dish to receive information. It's a nerve bundle, and it's just like a freaking antenna. And so it's just really important to trust that. I notice guidance is what I call it. I notice guidance in traffic a lot. And a lot of times that's where people start, is they want to speed up and they just hear and they just back off, and sure enough there's a radar station with a police officer just ahead. That happens, and then it's like, watch that guy, he's texting, and it's like, you watch him weave in and out of the lanes and you just back off. Everybody seems to get those hunches or gut feelings in traffic, and that's a really good place for it to start. And I tell people, when you hear that information, automatically go into gratitude, give thanks for it. Thank you, I heard you. Thank you, I heard you. And you can just say that in your head. And the other thing too is to learn to ground. Anytime, and we're bombarded with things that make us fearful, right? Well, the second we go into fear, all our energy goes out our head, goes out our crown chakra. And so we've got to learn to ground, which is growing roots out our feet and our tailbone, sending them to the center of the earth, wrapping them around the core, bringing them back up, then opening our crown chakra, bringing the white light in, swirling it around your heart, and then tying those two together. The roots are brought up, and the white light you've brought in. And my books go into this in detail, so it's very easy to learn to ground that way. And then we need a start button, is what I call it. Some people will turn their ring, other people will turn their watch. I know a gal that wears a rubber band around her wrist and it's not tight at all, but anytime she wants to start doing this work, she snaps the rubber band lightly. And then when she's done, she snaps it again. So everybody comes up with their own way of turning on and turning off these abilities. So that's important too. And then the biggest thing that so many people miss is how fast this is going to happen. If you get into ego and get into asking your question, like, I want to ask this question correctly, you're going to miss the answer, because like communicating with a dog, it's like this. Hey, did you, are you, it's that fast. So if you get too much into your question, I mean, that's how telepathy works. And, telepathy just becomes a part of this. If we develop telepathy, all we've got is telepathy. Seriously. If we develop intuitive abilities, you become automatically telepathic. See how that works?
Mm-hmm. Wow. And it's so funny, as you were talking, before you even mentioned it, the first thing I thought about is gut. Because my gut is never ever wrong.
No, it's not.
And I've noticed that I operate a lot from the gut.
Yeah, it really keeps you safe. And I'm not sure if it's just that we receive that information or if it's coming from our guides. To me, it doesn't matter. If you hear something and it's positive or cautionary, man, listen to it. We're always sorry when we don't.
Yes, yes, we are. And I think as you get older, you definitely understand the power of the gut.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, you mentioned about chakras, just so our audience is clear. Can you define the different chakra areas?
Oh, sure. So the one that's on the top of your head, that's your crown chakra. And that's our connection to source energy. Because you can't say everything's physics and then say, oh, wait a minute, not God. God's physics too, but God is just energy. It's the most powerful energy, but it's just energy. Then in the middle of our forehead is our third eye, and that's where we receive clairvoyance. We say, I want to see it in my mind's eye, or my mind's eye showed me something. With animals, you do get smells and tastes, and I'm sure there's a name for those chakras, but I don't have it. The next one would be throat chakra. So if you ever have trouble with swallowing, carotid arteries, thyroid issues, parathyroid issues, that's from not speaking your truth. And it doesn't mean you're a liar, but you might not be honest with yourself. The next one is heart chakra. And obviously, we know where that is. And that is our connection to all things emotional. Then right below that is the solar plexus, which is third chakra, where I talked about the nerve bundle. And then if you put your fingers three fingers below your belly button, and then poke on the midline, that's where your second chakra is. It's 3 fingers below your belly button. And then your root or base chakra is at the base of your tailbone. And it's really funny because you look at a lot of the diagrams, and where they put root chakra or base chakra, it looks like your private parts. It's not. It's at the base of your tailbone. So those are them. They're pretty simple. And, it's real easy to learn about them. And anybody that wants energy healing instructions, which teaches you how to clear out your chakras, and it also teaches you how to do energy healing with expanding your energy field and working on that. I'm happy to give them to anybody, but I have to send them by email. So just email me, and I'll send you energy healing instructions. And that also teaches you how to ground really well.
Yes, and that's very important. So again, if people want to work with you, let's put it all out there, how to connect.
It's just my website. My website is just terrijay.com. And my books are on there to teach you how to do this. I have coaching packages where I teach you to develop your own abilities. And I have people that I've worked with, and they are actually doing this work for a living now. And I love that. And everybody goes, aren't you worried about competition? No, I am not. Anybody that wants to learn this, I am honored to coach them so that they can either become an animal communicator or a medium or an energy healing coach, whatever they want to do. I'm their cheering section. And you also can sign up for readings. I now have a way that you can pick your day and time, pay, fill out a form. And I'm really cheap. My readings are only 50 and 90. And everybody keeps saying, you should be 300 a half hour. And it's like, no. I have a lot of poor horse people that are clients. And if I tried to raise my rates, I'd lose all of them. And they are dear to me, absolutely dear to me.
Yes, absolutely. Wow. This is mind blowing, Miss Terri. I didn't know what to expect, but you are definitely bringing it. So let's talk a little bit about medicine and how this supports people with autism and other brain issues, disabled children. I mean, because you talk about that and shed some light on it for us.
Well, the second book I wrote, I did not want to write. I wanted to write about dogs or horses or cats, or I wanted something fun and fluffy, And guidance told me very firmly, no, you must write this book. It's needed. This book is directed at caregivers, special education teachers, medical personnel, and first responders. And it's so that they can immediately tune in telepathically, intuitively, and know what is wrong with somebody that they're working with. And even if somebody's in a coma, you can still communicate with them. And that seems so bizarre to people. But you go to a hospital and somebody's in a coma, they go, oh, just keep talking to them. Well, that's only one-sided. If you just develop these abilities, you can hear them. I did a communication with a guy in Hawaii. He was in a coma from a ruptured brain aneurysm. And you know what the survivability on that is? It's like zilch. So I was supposed to do a lost cat reading. And so I was calling this gal to do the lost cat reading, and I hear cat found. And I thought, well, I'll call her and see what's going on. And so I told her, I said, I hear you found your cat. She goes, the cat's coming in the door right now. I said, okay, well, you got your cat. I said, I'm hearing man sick. What is that? She goes, uncle is in the hospital. He's got a ruptured brain aneurysm. They're asking the family to disconnect life support. I said, do you want to talk to him? She said, oh, absolutely. So I tuned into him, and he was pretty funny. He was giving me very earthly matters, which when you communicate with somebody who's deceased, you don't get earthly matters. And she was telling me where his checkbook was and to please pay his bills. And the weird thing was I was getting this smell of coffee, but it was like green, like raw. And I said, I'm smelling coffee, but it's green. She goes, oh, Terri, he's a coffee farmer. I went, get out. And I said, then he's showing me this thing that it's motorized, but the only thing I can call it is like a rickshaw. She said, oh, that's what he uses to bring the coffee beans out of the fields. So I'm talking to this guy, and I asked him, I said, do you want to try energy healing? And he said, yes. And it was so cute because he was sitting on a fence. So I took that to mean that it hadn't been decided if he was going to stay or go. So anyway, the family got a hold of the energy healer that I recommend. And the guy worked on him, and he woke up out of the coma and went home. No residual damage.
Wow. That's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. So doing that communication is really interesting. There's a lot of clients I have that have nonverbal autistic kids, and I talk with them. And it's very interesting because a lot of times they're so bright, but language is just so obscure to them, and they have like short circuits in their communication ability. And so you have to sort of figure out how you're going to work around that. But it doesn't matter if somebody's had a stroke. A lot of times when people have stroke, they become aphasic. And so they know the word, but they can't get their mouth to make the word. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I do that. I'd love to communicate with Bruce Willis because he's lost the ability to communicate. And oh God, it's just so fun to do this. Because my TV show should be called I Can't Make This Stuff Up, only I'd probably use the other S word because it's weird. It's just weird. And I've been doing it 35 years, but it's still weird to me because I go, oh, this doesn't make any sense, but this is what I'm getting. And of course, then my clients have this huge reaction where it's like, oh my goodness, you can't have known that. You know what I mean? It's so fun.
Yes, and I've worked with a young lady who is nonverbal, and I would love to know what's going on in her head. I mean,
sure.
I mean, I can tell that she can hear.
Sure.
She's very responsive, but she's nonverbal.
Right. And there's other, they have communication devices that use pictures where they can point to the picture. And there are other ways around it, but boy, it's just once you can just tune into them telepathically, it just makes things so much easier. And it's really interesting too, because I'm not comparing this in a bad way, but when you start talking to a dog, they instantly go to smells. That's their strong suit. Mm-hmm. And it's like, where's the dog that smells like this? Or where's the person that smells like this? I haven't seen them in a while. That's kind of what they're relaying. And you have to apologize that your nose doesn't work good. And you say, how person look? And they send you a mental image. And with a lot of autistic people that are nonverbal, they base things on smell. You know, like they'll send you the smell of a dog, and I'll go, and then they give me the feeling of love, and so I'll relate to the parents. Your child loves your dog, and they'll go, "How did you get that?" Well, because he sent me the. You know how dogs' paws smell like Fritos or popcorn? They sent me that smell. Isn't that funny? So
That's amazing.
you just have to become an interpreter for the information that you gather.
Wow. This is very, very interesting. I've never met anybody like you, Miss Terry. So this is definitely interesting and almost unbelievable. And I'm sure some of the people that be listening to this is, can I really do this?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've trained so many people. If these were gifts or they were, special, I wouldn't be able to train anybody. But I've trained hundreds of people over the years. And I mean, I've trained them so much and encouraged them so much. They're doing it like I do for a living. I do this 7 days a week and holidays. I'm doing readings all the time.
Wow. So let's talk about some of your books that you have out to help people.
Well, the first one is kind of it just covers everything that I do. It's called the Cowgirl Shaman Way: 7 Easy Steps to Develop Your Intuitive Ability. And it goes into how I got started and the trials and tribulations, and then, excuse me, and then it goes down to basically how anyone can learn to do it. And there's a lot of fun stuff in there too, because when I first started doing this, I would get dressed up like a gypsy fortune teller and do events. I mean, the money was obscene to do that, but people did not expect you to really do real readings. They figured you were just like a performer. And so I had so much fun doing that. The thrift stores have everything you need too, by the way, if you're going to do that. And it just goes into, and then I'd set up at dog events and just do, 10-minute readings for $20 and just do dog after dog after dog. And it's really funny because the people did not want to get up and leave. They wanted to stay there and keep getting their, they had more and more and more questions. So it's like 10 minutes wasn't enough. So I've just done all these really interesting things. I've been in a TV series. I've had shows at casinos. And so it just, goes into all that, but it still has my 7 steps to develop your intuitive abilities. The second book, like I said, I was written under duress, and that it's a really important book, to teach you how to communicate with people that can't. And then the third book I wrote is called The Physics of Mediumship, because I really want to take the woo-woo out of that. There's so many mediums, even the TV mediums, and they're hurting people, and that pisses me off because we have to still understand the physics of it, and they don't have discernment, meaning they can't tell the difference between positive and negative energy. So when someone dies, and we have to remember this, we're only 1% physical, and we're 99% energy. So when we lose our shells, or I joke and call it our little meat suits that we run around in, we return to being pure positive energy. Well, nothing negative can go with us to the other side because it's not a vibrational match. And so everything negative, pain, suffering, unfinished business, frustration, regrets, all that stuff has to get shed off, and it stays behind in the earthly realm. And by the way, that's what causes hauntings, is all that stuck negative energy that's been shed off. So when somebody goes to the other side, they're just all happy campers. They're all happy campers. Well, if you tune into that stuck negative energy that's been left behind, it looks like, feels like, and sounds like the deceased. But if you don't have discernment, you may share that information as if it is how the person is on the other side. Nothing could be further from the truth. You've got one of the TV mediums that wrote Unfinished Business. That's BS. You got another one that wrote Regrets. That's BS, because everybody on the other side is all happy and positive. And so they're tuning into that negative energy and sharing it as if it's how the person on the other side is. And to me, when they do that, they're dumpster diving. They just are dumpster diving. That's what they're doing.
That is interesting. So how do people get the books?
They're on my website, and you can also find them on Amazon. And I've just got the paperbacks and the ebooks, trying to get the audiobooks done. I'm working on it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Wow, this has been mind blowing for sure. It's like, woo.
Yeah, but Ida, it's still just physics. It is. I mean, everything's physics. I mean, I'm a down to earth Nevada cowgirl. I'm out there shoveling manure every morning. You couldn't be more down to earth. I have to laugh. I had to body clip just parts of my horse because he was just sweating too much. And I think we're going to be like 65, and he looks like a woolly mammoth. So when I came in, I'm picking little arty hairs off of my face where it was sticking to my makeup. I mean, you can't get more down to earth than that. And I could not do woo woo stuff. I just can't. And I want to make this available to everybody because, you know, if you have a loved one that can't communicate, you don't know how they are in there, so to speak. And it's so easy to learn this. And then you can have full conversations while they seem completely unconscious or in a coma. And it just makes things so much easier and better. And what I love is that when we have people that pass, we can maintain those connections. I still have coffee with my mom every morning, and she's been gone since 18.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So I know you teach classes, but what are some of the criteria? Because I know people need to come in with an open mind. I would think that would be number one.
The other thing too is to really not have an ego. I say ego is easing God out. You know, that's really important to me. That you can't even have a need to be right, because there's been times doing readings where I've been given the wrong information, and I've known it's the wrong information, and guidance just still says, nope, you need to tell them. You need to tell them what we told you. And this, oh, that's frustrating. But then you find out a couple weeks later, it had a positive result. So it's not for me to judge. And then the other thing is to work on yourself, work on healing yourself, raising your own vibration. You can do that with intention, healing your crap. You know, everybody's got childhood crap, and just healing that raises your vibration too.
Yes, that's so true. We all got junk in the trunk, I like to say.
Yes, we do.
And it's a constant thing of, inside out work, because as humans, we can easily go to the left with the quickness, even though this is right to do, but it's easy to do, but it's also hard to do because you're not used to it.
You know, I do teach ethics in my books. I have a chapter on ethics. And the first thing is do no harm. And there's very few people that are doing this work that have that as one of their tenets of their ethics. And so that is really, really important to me. You know, if it's not going to help, then don't share it, really. And no predictions. This is really interesting because I do not do predictions ever. You know about the law of attraction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what we think about, we bring about. So predictions then become completely unethical. You cannot do predictions of any kind.
And that would make sense.
Yeah.
That would make sense. You can only be in the moment. You can't predict, as in, that's how you gonna predict something.
Oh. Well, here's the thing.
For 1 minute to the next, for real.
Yeah, I mean, if you see something really bad happening to somebody, And you go, oh, be really careful in traffic, from watch out for white vans, because you see them having if by them going no, 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 screaming at white vans every time they're around them, they will attract an accident. You know that.
Yes.
And if somebody's working really hard towards something, and I go, oh, yes, I see that happening. That's really great. And they go, hey, Terri said it's going to happen. I'm just going to relax and not work toward it anymore. And then it doesn't happen. And then I'm the poop head.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
gotta tell the truth. This,
right.
I mean, in this industry, is what you do, truth is number one.
Oh, gosh, yeah. But sometimes you're not allowed to share the truth. That's one of those things where it's like you hear something and you go, and you're just told, no, because it is not in the client's best interest to have that information.
Okay.
It's never up to me. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I really listen to guidance, and I so appreciate my guides, and they're so fun. They're so fun.
Yes, it goes back to if you can't say something nice, don't say nothing at all.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's really funny how, some stuff is just not, it's not in their best interest to know. Yeah. Even if it's like somebody that's in resistance. I tell them, okay, you've got breast cancer, you've got to do energy healing. This comes from heartbreak. Email me for the instructions so you can heal yourself, or call this guy. He's really good. He's cured a lot of my clients' cancers that were terminal, and crickets, nothing. And it's like, you don't want to heal? But why would you, if somebody's going, here, you can cure yourself, you can heal yourself, and then nothing. Isn't that bizarre?
Well, that's because they don't believe. That sounds like a belief issue.
I don't know. Sometimes I think it's just that they're in a victim or victim martyr mode and happy there.
And that could be, because we know, I know quite a few people, have been living their life, in my view, that doing things that's not serving them, but they can't see it, so they continue with it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of times on the outside, we can see things that when you're in it, you can't really see it. You can.
Right. You're too close to it.
Yes, exactly.
And then a lot of people are in resistance.
Yes.
They're in resistance.
Fear, belief, resistance.
Yep.
All of those things balled up in one that keeps them from moving forward to something better.
Yeah.
Wow. Terri. Again, how can people connect with you?
Just on my website. It's www.terrijay.com. And you can get a hold of me there. You can email me. You can sign up for readings. And like I said, my rates are really reasonable, and there's no limit to the number of subjects you can do, in a reading. You can talk to your dogs. You can talk to your loved ones that have passed, get health guidance, all of it in one session. So I love my work. I just love it.
I can tell. So for those people out there that we just talked about, the people that don't believe, the people that fear, what do you have to say to them?
Well, it's choices. It's choices. And in every moment, Ida, this, because I can see it in your heart. We choose to live in love, or we choose to live in fear in every single moment. And fear is the lowest vibration, the lowest frequency, and love is the highest frequency. So it's really comes down to all about choices. And we have to remember those choices have consequences.
Yes, they do. Wow, Terri, this has been amazing. You got me all vibrating over here.
Well, it was wonderful working with you, Ida.
Yes, absolutely. And we definitely got to do this again.
Anytime.
Because your energy, I mean, just talking to you, I can feel the energy. So this is great. This is
That's good.
great.
I'm doing my job.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day, because I know you're busy. And
Picking hairs off my face from body clipping my horse. Oh my God.
wow. And audience, thank you for tuning in as well.